Shopping with a local company, you get all the advantages of small.
John.
You know, if you're gonna pick up the phone,
I need you.
I'll call you back.
I've got some bad news. I just got off the phone with Mill. He's retiring. Yeah, as in 10 years, Mill, been here forever.
How are we gonna run this company without Mill? He grinds my gears sometimes, but this place can't function without him.
What are we gonna do without Mill? Mill is the only person that does any work around here. How much work, I'm not totally sure. All I know is that we order 18 sacks on every order. That is about 900 pounds of grain. Now we know that Mill is up to 1,800 pounds a month. Who else is doing those numbers? Not me. Mill is hitting 21.6 every year. Over the course of 10 years, 216,000 pounds. Nobody can replace Mill.
Yes, unfortunately, it is true. After 9 or so years, I did find some video of when we first got this thing. I'll edit some of that in here at some point. After 9 years of service, our old and trusty Crankandstein grain mill has finally, I guess this is maybe where the term came from, has bit the dust. I'll show you guys a little bit of what's going on with it here. It's lost its torque. The motor's still pulling the right amps. Everything seems to be working fine. We did take it apart to try a fix on it, and that kind of did reveal what the problem is. And it's nothing more sinister than just normal wear and tear. But I'm gonna take this thing apart really quick, and then we will look at the guts, talk about the new one that's gonna be taking its place, and then look at how you can make sure you're getting a perfect grain crush every time. Pro tip, it doesn't involve a feeler gauge. Old one came off, no problem. I'll do a little bit of cleanup around here since I have the opportunity while it's off. And we'll take this thing apart a little bit more, and then we'll show you guys how the wear and tear of 10 years ended up causing the problems. All right, so we got them pulled off both side to side. You guys know Alex. If you guys have been in the shop, you've seen him around here. But yeah, so you can see a marked difference. This one we got, it basically looked a lot more like this one when it was new. This, if you drag your finger across it, like, it's rough. It kind of feels like, I remember why I had nightmares about what would ever happen if somebody like got their fingers in there. This one, the knarling has just really worn down. You can still feel it's sharper out on the edges, but in the middle, I mean, it's basically like, yeah, like almost as smooth as a baby's bottom down in there. The other thing it looks like so I do think even like here compared to here, the knarling is much deeper on this newer one. The reason that we think this thing broke, I think a little pebble or something might have gotten in there, and just, you know, maybe it would have handled that when it was young, but over time that caused it to basically push these things apart just ever so slightly, obviously not that dramatically, but because these gears are a little bit worn down, and just because they were a little bit narrow maybe to begin with, you can see on the new one, he has chunked that up quite a bit. So that should be much better to keep in alignment. And in addition, you can see this one's just the 3 rollers here, but on the new one, he's added a stainless reinforcement bar that goes through the whole thing, basically to kind of keep exactly from what we were just describing from happening. So it really keeps this thing super, super square and in line, which should keep those gears super well in line to prevent wear and tear. And hopefully, I mean, we shall see, but we should get at least another 10 years out of this thing, if not much more. We're absolutely not gonna let this thing has served us so well. We'll find like a Hall of Fame place to put it around here. But now we'll pop everything back together. And then as we dial it in, maybe we can talk about grain crushing techniques or what to look for when you guys are crushing grain at home. In theory, we should just have to put it all back together. Good beer starts with good grain, but before you can get the goodness out of your grain, you have to get a great crush. That's what we're going to talk about today. And spoilers, it doesn't take one of these. Oh God. With that, me and Alex have both fucked with it a little bit now. We remounted, realigned the motor. We realized the flywheel had come unfixed, got that tightened down. You did a little preliminary adjustment on the depth here, but I guess the only thing left to do is to see if it works. Ooh, sounds sexy. Okay, I think we at least have crushed grain, but I'm sure we're gonna need to tweak it. And yeah, okay, so right away you can see when you're trying to get a perfect crush, I guess the question is, what does a perfect grain crush look like? And with so many things in life and so many things in beer, I think the Three Bears Goldilocks analogy comes back into play here. There's going to gotta be too coarse, there's going to be too fine, and then there's just right. But even that is going to be very dependent upon what you're going for. So this is absolutely too fine. This literally looks like barley flour. It's completely shredded. I see hardly any specks of the actual husks left. If you're doing brew in a bag, some people like it like this. Some people want to take it all the way down because they don't have to worry about one of the trade-offs of getting it this fine, in that you don't have any of that husky material left to essentially form that lautering bed or that filtration bed when you're basically trying to recirculate your wort to get it clear and flow well. This can kind of just turn into paper mache inside of your mash tun. In addition to that, when you do shred up all those grain husks into small pieces, you make it that much easier for tannins to be pulled out. If you do get your pH a little off or get it a little too hot during the mash, if everything goes perfectly, that's probably not an issue, but to me, this is a little bit too fine. So we're gonna open this thing up, we'll run some more through, we'll show you what a too coarse crush might look like, and then hopefully we'll be dial it in to right around perfect. Okay, so this is what I would call too coarse. A lot of that stuff got crushed up, but you guys can still see quite a bit of this stuff is still intact, and there's a lot of hull hanging on to, what was that fancy word you used? Endosperm?
Yeah.
You're dirty, dirty man. So we'll tighten this up a little bit and see if we can refine it. You could get out the little, I have to find wherever I threw it. Oh yeah, thank you. You could get out your depth gauge, and if you're going on forums and reading, people will basically tell you, like, you need to make sure that you have your roller distance set to X, Y, or Z. That's great in theory, and if that's where you want to start, that's fantastic. But numbers are never going to actually, you can't really just take a formula and then turn it into actual physical reality, because every grain is a little different. There's going to be differences between crushing, American two-row and German pilsner. Certainly if you're doing wheat malt, or if there's any flaked adjuncts you're mixing in to kind of try to pull out some of that haze. In my advice, in my experience, it's much better to go by the feel, the sound, and then just a tweak based on the outcome, even if that means it takes a little bit longer. So let's see if we can dial this thing in and get it a little bit closer to where we want. All right, I think that's about. Okay, so to me, this is looking pretty gosh darn good. We've got a little bit more of the kernels that are intact. If you do find one that still look whole, and then you basically just press it in between your fingers and it falls apart, to me that's fantastic. When it goes into that when it goes into the hot mash tun, the water's just going to expand it. It's going to pop apart. You're going to have full exposure of the starch inside of there for mashing, and then you're also still going to have all or most of your grain husks intact to help form a filter bed. So obviously we're going to keep tweaking it as we go. You should too. And based on the outcomes that you're getting, go a little coarser, go a little finer. But my philosophy is just play with it. Don't have a hard and fast and fixed idea in your head of what it needs to be. The goal is to make beer and make it easy for you to make beer at home. So play it by ear, I guess. And fuck the feeler gauge. All right.
Well, this is really arduous, but when it's time, it's time.
Dusty phone.